It's been 8 weeks in the making, but today we finally find out who FIFA Ultimate Team predicts to win Qatar 2022. But first, what's up guys, OTB here with the second from last video on the channel from FIFA 22. This one you could say is a year in the making because we are editing this right near the end of the game. The new one is literally out in a few days, and the World Cup in fact is literally less than 2 months away now. This one really is 8 weeks in the making. A lot of hours have gone into this. And guys, if you're new to this, basically the premise of what I've been doing is the last 8 weeks in FUT Champs, I've been using the 8 top teams at the World Cup judged by the betting sites. That's Holland, Argentina, Spain, Brazil, England, France, Germany, and Portugal. I've used one of these each week in FUT Champs. Basically, in the playoffs, that represents their quarterfinal score. The first 10 games of the finals represents their semi-final score, and the last 10 will represent their final score if needed. I mean, obviously 4 teams are going to be eliminated at the quarterfinal stage. Anyway, you will see on the channel those videos for the quarterfinals. That's out there, and if you join the streams, you'll see how I've actually done in the finals. But till now, no one knows what that bracket is, so no one really knows what each one represents and how they're doing against the others. You can speculate, you can try and predict how it will work out, but no one knows until now. So guys, check those videos out, links in the description below. Before I get into it, make sure you drop us a like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. It really helps me out, and I really want to try and progress in FIFA 23. Loads of content for you, funny, good stuff. Want to entertain you guys. So this is the first time now we're going to release the bracket. Right, so as we slowly unveil the bracket, first thing to know, there is no French video. I completely messed up on the French video, but they did get 7 wins in the playoffs. You can check over on the live stream if you don't believe me. The second thing is, you're probably asking yourselves, how did I work this out? See, this is actually a possibility in the World Cup. The way I worked it out is obviously the teams winning and coming second in the group, and this lineup you're about to see is a real possibility. Guys, drop it in the comments if you think I'm wrong, if you think other teams will progress. Obviously they could do. The World Cup is always full of surprises, but this is just purely on the bet end, so I worked it out how it could possibly be for these 8 teams. And here we go. We got Holland, Argentina, we got Spain, Brazil, England, France, and Germany, Portugal. Good ties there. If that was the quarterfinals of the World Cup, there'd be some good games, no doubt there. These games here, so round 1 is basically the quarterfinals, as you can see it, and these games will be determined by the 10 games I played with each of these teams in the playoffs. You got to take into consideration there are some really decent players being released around this time. This is end game FIFA. You got the phase cards, still very usable TOTS cards. You got end of era cards. You got random like new league cards coming out. And I did it in a way that I thought that the squads were the strongest they could be, and new players wouldn't be released. So the first team I used was Holland. This is a quick snapshot of what the team looks like for those that haven't seen it. And of course they're matched up against Argentina, which was one of the later ones that I did. It did include that shapeshifter Messi, and this is what the team looked like at the time. In FIFA, these 2 teams, you're really looking at, they're not that most overpowered teams. Yeah, they've got some great players in them, don't get me wrong, but Argentina's defense was a tricky one to use, and Holland's like, they've got some good players, but they're not an outstanding team, so they were both interesting teams to use. Starting with Argentina, the show was really run by Messi and Dybala, and Alvarez chipped in with a few goals.
Encara Messi, 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 encara Messi,
Messi! So Argentina, like a lot of teams in this bracket, managed the 7 wins. However, Holland were one of only 3 teams to go above 7 and actually got 8 wins.
There he is. Boom! Weghorst. You belong on a Harry Potter film.
And therefore defeated Argentina. So Holland progressed to the semi-final. A straightforward one because obviously one got more than the other. In the event of a tie, if these 2 were to get 7 apiece, I did it by goal difference, and then it'd be split by goals. So that would all be mentioned in the rest of the ties. So the next team I actually used in Champs was in fact England, because I didn't think any more cards would be released. Here was the team that I used. They were drawn up, as you can see, against France, who in FIFA have got to be the favourites, and in real life you'd probably say they're up there in the top 2 favourites going in for Qatar 22. We don't have the French team, but you can imagine who was in it. Mbappe, Dembele, Kante. You had all the French stars, and like I said, it really, on paper and in FIFA, went into this, I'd say, as seed number 1. So starting with England, they managed through screamers like this from Jack Grealish. From Grealish?
He must have a foot like a traction engine.
To tally up an impressive 8 wins, just like the Dutch. And of course, you can imagine France in retaliation for Mbappe scored a few screamers, but only managed to win 7. So football could still be coming home as France leave the tournament in the quarterfinal stages. So half the semi-finalists are there in Holland and England, with Argentina and France both leaving the competition in the quarter-final stage. Probably maybe Messi's last hope for a World Cup. Mbappe's probably got many more to come. So next, we'll move to see who meets Holland in that semi-final with the matchup of Spain versus Brazil. This is the Spanish lineup. Not the greatest in FIFA terms. I think they could be dark horses, in my personal opinion, for the actual World Cup in Qatar. And this is how Brazil are lined up too. I've got to say, in FIFA and probably in real life, Brazil have to be up there as definitely a favourite to win the World Cup. Let me know, guys, who you think will win the World Cup in the comments below. So we start with Spain. So Spain, it was a challenging FUT Champs playoffs for sure, and it even resulted in 3 lots of penalty shootouts in 10 games. Watch out, he might go down injured on the run-up. Go! Come on, Spain! But they came through those and they still managed 7 wins. But will it be enough against one of the favourites in Brazil? So Brazil were one of the last teams I used. I think they were the 3rd from last teams. They definitely brought that samba to the playoffs. And they also managed 7 wins. We have our first tie-break. So as I mentioned, in a tie-break, it would be goal difference, then goals scored. And Spain managed a plus goal difference in the playoffs. However, Brazil only just pips them with a +9, and they progressed to the semi-finals to play Holland. So the last quarter-final sees Germany and Portugal. I'm sure both of these teams in real life are outsiders, and going into this actual ultimate team, I was a little bit concerned about Germany, and I was questioning whether Ronaldo could really drag Portugal to the World Cup win. I mean, it's his last chance, so let's be honest, if anyone can, maybe Ronaldo can. As usual, guys, here's the teams. This is the German team. And like I said, not the strongest of teams. And here we go. Here is the Portugal team. Even looking at that team, I really feel like they could be dark horses for the World Cup in Qatar. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. So we kick off with Germany. So mainly through Sane and a dabbing, I like a lot of Fortnite, Werner.
Look at my dad. Look at my dad. Look at my dad.
I like a lot of Fortnite. They managed, and you guessed it, I sound like Len Goodman at this stage, a 7. So in the Portugal playoffs, they followed up. As you can guess, there was a hell of a lot of suing involved. With the first and emphatic 9 wins. This was a great team to use in the FUT Champs, and they really set the bar, and at this point probably have to be deemed favourites in the FUT. So there we go, guys. The semi-finals are set. Holland versus Brazil and England versus Portugal. Let me know, guys, if at this stage you thought that's how the final 4 would be, and who at this stage you think should be deemed favourites to win the World Cup via FIFA Ultimate Team. So here we go, the semi-finals, and we'll start with Holland versus Brazil. You already know the teams, guys, and on paper this really should be a Brazil win, but in FIFA anything can happen. So guys, remember, we are now looking at the first games of the FUT Champs finals and even sweatier mode than the playoffs. So Holland started off well and threw this absolute peach of a free kick by the outside. There we go. Boom! In the first 5 games, they had 4 wins and 1 loss. On the turn of Brazil. So surprisingly, Brazil lost their first game, but going back to fundamentals and nothing spectacular. Goals like these from Neymar. No. Also meant Brazil recovered to also have a 4-1 record in the first 5 games. So the next 5 games, first up, the Brazil 4 back-to-back wins went on to produce another 3 wins in the first 10, meaning goals like this resulted in Brazil finishing the first 10 games with 7 wins. But will it be enough? Because only 1 time in the quarters, 7 wins in 10 games was good enough. Well, with Cruyff's close dribbling and lovely feet, go! Holland retaliated and managed to get another 4 wins in the second last 5, meaning they finished on 8 wins in the first 10, beating Brazil by just the 1, meaning Holland defeated Brazil in the semi-final and progressed to the finals. Interesting thing about this, and what I love about FIFA, is that I then went on, obviously, I still played the next 10 games with both teams because that's how FUT Champs works. And they both finished on 14 wins out of 20. So that means the next 10, the actual scores were reversed. So in another time, but that's what I like about FIFA. You never know what you're going to be thrown at. So now we'll move on to the second semi-final, England versus Portugal. So we start with England. So goals like this again led England to a 5-0 in their first 5 games. Portugal, however, after scoring some great goals of their own, only managed a 4-1 in their 5 games and up against it going into those last 5 of the first 10. England continued where they started off in those first 5 games and they actually went for a 7-0. However, things turned, gameplay, players, however you want to put it, and despite goals like this, they lost their next 3 games and resulting in their first 10 and their score for the semi-finals being 7. So Portugal, in their next 5, they were already 1 down, so they need to at least get 3 wins for the next 5, which goals like this achieved them this, and they also, for a change, finished on 7 wins. I mean, of course, we've got our second tie-break of the predictor. You know now, guys, it's a goal difference. Portugal, led by Mr. Sui, had a +5 goal difference in their first 10, but England had an emphatic +11, which means football could still be coming home and England progressed to their first World Cup final since '66. What's interesting about this is obviously I played the next 10 games with both teams and Portugal actually didn't lose another game. And they finished on 16 wins out of 20, whereas England only finished on the 14. So that just goes to show you that when you're comparing those first 10 games, England come up on top, but it could have been the other way around if it was those last 10 games. So here we go, guys. Final time, Holland versus England. Can this really be the final of Qatar 2022? You let me know in the comments below, guys, who you think is this a possibility or who you think will actually be in the final. But Holland v England, interesting tie, which of course will be decided in how each team did in the final 10 games of the FUT Champs finals. So as you can imagine, if you don't play FIFA, those last 10 games get absolutely sweaty. So the Dutch, they put up a good fight and they scored some decent goals. Holland managed a 6, which is the lowest so far in the competition, but the difficulty of opponent is a lot more at this stage. So could England retaliate and bring back Jules Rimet? Well, they put up a good fight and they certainly scored some decent goals. Harry Kane! And England managed to match Holland by getting 14 wins overall And if you're any good at maths, you can work out it means England won 7 against the Holland 6. So football indeed is coming home according to FIFA Ultimate Team as England win the World Cup. So there we go, guys. Football has indeed come home in FIFA 22 Ultimate Team as England pick up the trophy. But will they do it in Qatar 2022? As an Englishman, I sure hope they do. And don't worry, guys, this certainly was not a fix. And you can check out all the videos on Facebook and YouTube. Before I go, guys, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and head over to Facebook Gaming. Get yourself a follow where you can see me go live across the week. And indeed, into FIFA 23, we're going to smash out the content like this, challenges in all sorts of modes. I don't like to play FIFA normally, so you'll enjoy that stuff, guys. Last time in FIFA 22, I'll catch you in the next one in FIFA 23. Bye!